Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
Good evening, Council. We're going to call our special council meeting to order for Wednesday, January the 21st, 2026 at 6:40 p.m. Council, does anybody have a declaration of pecuniary interest on tonight's special council meeting? Seeing none, move on. Number 3 is approve the agenda. We have motion reads the agenda. The special council meeting for January the 21st, 2026 be approved as presented. Moved by Councilor Drush, seconded by Councilor Waters. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, the next item is regarding an in-camera item. Council, does anybody wish to go in camera to discuss this topic? Seeing none. Council, regarding, we'll move on 5, is regarding a memo from the Chief Administrative Officer regarding the Shared Fire Service Agreement mutual acknowledgement, and that we'll receive that for information. No other further comments or questions. No reports from in camera. So we're going to look for a motion to adjourn at 6:40 p.m. Moved by Councilor Waters, second by the Deputy Mayor. We'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And we're adjourned. We'll be back at 7 p.m. for our council meeting. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to call our council meeting to order for Wednesday, January the 21st, 2026 at 7 p.m. I'm going to start off with number 2 is our land acknowledgement. Town of Penetanguishene land acknowledgement. Penetanguishene respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional treaty territory of the Nishnawbek people and their ancestors, now known as the Williams Treaties First Nations territory. This includes the Chippewa Tri-Council comprised of Bosley First Nation, Rama First Nation, and the Georgina Island First Nation, Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, and the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. Also once home of the Huron-Wendat and more recently the historic settlement of the Métis, Penetanguishene is now home to many Indigenous peoples. Penetanguishene is proud of its Indigenous name, and more importantly, that for thousands of years, it has been and will continue to be an important homeland and gathering place for Indigenous people. We recognize that we are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters, and are responsible to ensure that our Mother the Earth is here for future generations. Councillor DeRush, if you can help out with the French version, please.
Penetanguishene reconnaît avec respect que nous sommes situés sur le territoire traditionnel et de traité du peuple Anishinaabeg et de ses ancêtres, maintenant connu sous le nom du territoire des Premières Nations, visé par les traités Williams. Il s'agit du conseil tripartite des Chippewas composé de la Première Nation de Beau-Soleil, de la Première Nation de Rama, de la Première Nation de Georgina Island, de la Première Nation d'Alderville, de la Première Nation de Curve Lake, de la Première Nation de Hiawatha et de la Première Nation des Mississaugas de Scugog Island. De plus, Penetanguishene était jadis le lieu de résidence des Hurons-Wendat et plus récemment d'un établissement métis historique. La ville héberge aujourd'hui de nombreux peuples autochtones. Penetanguishene est fière de son nom autochtone et le plus important du fait que pendant des milliers d'années, elle était et continuera d'être un important territoire et lieu de rassemblement des peuples autochtones. Nous reconnaissons que nous sommes les intendants et gardiens de cette terre et de ses eaux et que nous sommes responsables de veiller à ce que notre mère, la terre, soit présente pour les générations à venir.
Thank you very much, Councillor DeRush. Welcome again, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you would like to address council a little later in the evening, I have you go to Madam Clerk and just register. So the floor is open for anybody if you have not registered already. Hope everyone had a good holiday season. Happy New Year to you. Hopefully 2026 starting off on the right foot. To council, Happy New Year. Staff, community partners, welcome. Council, have you rise? And Councillor LaRue, can you help us out with the council commitment, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. Engagement du Conseil pour la ville de Penetanguishene. Nous sommes reconnaissants des nombreuses grâces accordées à Penetanguishene et à ses citoyens dont la liberté, les possibilités et la paix dont nous jouissons. Que nous soyons des intendants dignes de tout ce qui nous a été confié. Nous demandons que toutes les personnes présentes et celles qui n'ont pas pu se présenter nous aident à promouvoir une bonne gouvernance. Que nos décisions à titre de membres du Conseil soient éclairées et que nous soyons tous renforcés à prendre conscience de nos devoirs et responsabilités. Que l'on nous accorde la sagesse, les connaissances, la volonté et la compréhension qui nous permettront de préserver la bonne fortune de la ville et bénéfice de tous, ainsi que de faire de bonnes lois et prendre de sages décisions. Merci de votre présence.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And Councillor Vadabunker, please.
Thank you, Worship. Council commitment for the town of Penetanguishene. We are grateful for the many gifts which have been bestowed on Penetanguishene and its citizens, including the gifts of freedom, opportunity, and peace that we enjoy. May we be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. We ask that all in attendance and those that could not be here assist us in promoting good government. May our decisions as members of council be enlightened, and may we all be strengthened in our awareness of our duties and responsibilities. May we be granted the wisdom, knowledge, will, and understanding to preserve the good fortune of the town for the benefit of all and to make good laws and wise decisions. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you, Councillor Vadabunker. Council, as you know, and the community probably knows, this past week, Guy Burnell passed away. Previously served on this council. We know his son serves on Tiny Council. I just ask that we just hold a moment of silence for a minute. Thank you, Council. We'll move on to the next items, our public service announcement. Sarah, I believe one of our volunteer firefighters, Adam LaFontaine Cook, has created a new public service announcement for us. We appreciate him and his service and helping us out with this announcement. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this evening's council meeting. For those of you who may require a washroom, there are public washrooms outside the council chambers entrance to your right. We also kindly ask that cell phones are turned off or put on silent during the meeting. Town Hall is protected by a single source fire alarm. Should the fire alarm be activated, please exit chambers calmly using the rear or side door and make your way down the stairs to the parking lot nearest the church. In the event of a medical emergency, please dial 911. The address of Town Hall is 10 Robert Street West, Penetanguishene. We also have public access defibrillator outside of the main council chambers. Bonjour et bienvenue à la réunion du conseil municipal de ce soir. Pour celles et ceux qui auraient besoin d'aller aux toilettes, les toilettes sont situées à l'extérieur de l'entrée de la salle, à la droite. Nous vous prions également d'éteindre vos téléphones cellulaires ou de les mettre en mode silencieux pendant la réunion. L'hôtel de ville est protégé par un système d'incendie. Si l'alarme se déclenche, veuillez quitter la salle calmement par la porte arrière ou latérale et descendre les escaliers jusqu'au stationnement le plus proche de l'église. En cas d'urgence médicale, veuillez composer le 911. L'adresse de l'hôtel de ville est le 10 rue Robert-Ouest à Penetanguishene. Un défibrillateur est également disponible à l'extérieur des portes de la salle du conseil.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Chief Crawford. If you can pass it on to Firefighter M. LaFontaine Cook, we appreciate that. Council, moving on, number 5 is approve the agenda. Motion reads that the agenda of the regular council meeting for January 21st, 2026 be approved as presented. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councilor Roux. Comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council number 6 is declaration of pecuniary interest. Anybody have a declaration of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on. Number 7 is open forum. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address council on anything that's important to you, on or off the agenda. We ask that you register with Madam Clerk before that. You would have 2 minutes. We'd ask that you address your comments to council, please. We don't want to have two-way debate with staff. So again, if you address them to council directly, please. If we can keep tone respectful about the matter you're looking for. Madam, is anyone registered for open forum this evening?
Thank you, Your Worship. This evening, we have 2 members of the public registered for open forum. The first one is Megan Varga, who will be discussing water and wastewater. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan, I'll have you make your way to the podium if you can. And again, you'll have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. So members of council, thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Megan Varga, and I am a city worker, and I live in Innisfil. I am the president of CUPE Local 2380, and I represent approximately 1,000 municipal workers across the region. I am here tonight in that capacity on behalf of your water and wastewater workers who do not have a voice before this council. Some are here in the room, and most are watching online. There are workers who ensure residents have clean, safe drinking water every single day. There are workers who maintain the wastewater system that protects public health and the environment, especially the Bay. Yet despite the essential nature of their work, the day we began bargaining a new collective agreement, management announced that it is exploring the merger of water and wastewater operations or the possibility of contracting these services out altogether. So let's be clear, these departments cannot simply be merged. The operators are not dual licensed, so the only realistic outcome of this process is to outsource. This has not been made clear. What has not been made clear is what problem council is actually trying to solve. So I've spoken directly with the workers. They care deeply about the services that they provide. They're proud of their work. They live in this community, and they rely on this water and wastewater just like everybody else. They have been very clear that there is no workforce crisis here that cannot be addressed through proper investment in workers. Right now, the town is attempting to recruit Class 3 operators at entry-level wages, and this is not a recruitment strategy. It's a recipe for failure. This is a manufactured crisis, and the so-called solution being proposed will only lead to higher water and wastewater rates for residents and loss of local accountability over one of the most critical public services this municipality provides. This is unacceptable. No public report has been released. No supporting data has been shared. Instead, workers were blindsided by an announcement that put their livelihoods at risk, only to be told the answer may be turning services over to a profit-driven organization.
Thank you.
One more sentence, or am I cut off? Pardon? Oh, thank you. Profit-driven operator with a well-documented track record of costing municipalities more over time in the long run. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, you have another member registered for open forum.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next up is Brenda McDonald, and she is going to be speaking in regards to 106 Robert Street West.
Before you take the floor, tonight, a little bit later in the agenda, we actually have a public meeting regarding 106 Robert West. I think that might be the more appropriate time. You can now, but I think we will have a public meeting regarding that application. That's probably the best position. Yeah, it'll probably be in a few minutes, 18 minutes from now. Okay, but it won't make part of the formal record when we get to the public meeting.
My name's Brenda McDonald. I live in Penetang on Center Street. I'm here to oppose the building that on 106 Robert Street West. I am highly opposed to it because they want 6 amendments for that place. And that's way too much. And I am very against it. And I just want you to know how much I'm not happy with this. And everybody we talked to, we did a petition. And out of 53 people, 52 signed the paper.
Thank you for your comments. Again, I'll ask if when we get to that part of the meeting, if you're welcome to address again, just that'll make part of the formal record for that application under the Planning Act. Okay, Madam Clerk, does anyone else register for the open forum this evening?
No, Your Worship, there's no one else registered for open forum.
Sorry, Sarah, is anyone online wishes to address council tonight in open forum?
Thank you, Your Worship. No one is online regarding that.
Thank you. Council, we're going to move on to the next item. There's 8 statement from members. There's an opportunity for council to address the community about the work that they're doing on your behalf. Councilor Roux, we're going to start with you.
Thank you, Your Worship. December the 11th, 25, I attended the Town Dock public meeting here at Town Hall. January the 13th, 26, I attended the public meeting, Read Trails and Parks at the Brian Orser Hall. January 15th, I attended the museum board meeting. And January the 17th, this past Saturday, I attended the U18 Curlers Banquet dinner at the Brian Orser Hall. And on that, Your Worship, I want to give kudos to the Penetanguishene Curling Club for a very successful event.
Thank you very much, Councilor Roux. Councilor Marchand, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a few things for me. We had a Trails Committee meeting on the 13th of January, which was timely. It was the afternoon just prior to the public information session regarding the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So certainly lots of members from the Trail Committee and the community providing some additional feedback, and also attended SSEA executive meeting as we approach and prepare for the final quarter of our reporting with that group. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Marchand. Councilor Vedabunker.
Thank you, Worship. On January 13th, I attended on behalf of His Worship at Burkevale Protestant Separate School, where they announced their new site for their new school at the intersection of Dunlop Street and Edward, and just in behind Georgian Village. Very exciting announcement. And later that evening, I attended, as did Councillor Marchand and a few other members of council, the Public Information Center for the draft Parks and Trails strategy. And on Friday, January 16th, I made my way down to the curling club to take in some of the U18 boys and girls championships and saw a few ends of the U18 boys play. It was quite impressive. And again, it's already been mentioned, kudos to our curling club for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vadebonker. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I won't repeat all the ones that most of us were all at. The only other one I would like to add is that the mayor, the CAO, and director of rec and myself spent Sunday and Monday in the city. We got to delegate to 3 ministries. We had a couple presentations. The town got an award. So that was most of our stuff other than the last few weeks. That was our most recent. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor DeRoche, please.
Thank you very much. I attended a Wellbeing and Accessibility Committee meeting on December 18th, and we had really good discussion around our work plan for 2026. I also attended the public information session that was held for the Parks and Recreation Parks and Trails draft strategy. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor DeRoche. Councillor Waters, please.
December 22nd, I was up at the fire hall when our local Legion presented the fire chief with a check to buy some new equipment. On the 8th, I was here for the flag raising for Crime Stoppers and all the good work they do. On the 12th, we had an economic advisory committee meeting. 13th, with the library finance meeting. On the 13th in the evening, we had our Parks and Trails Information Center at the arena. And yesterday I had planning and development.
Thank you, Councillor Waters. CEO Lees, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I won't reiterate the funding that was talked about other than to say there's been lots of good news stories over the last month with respect to funding, 2 of which are fire and emergency services related, which are on the agenda for this evening, as well as a fairly substantial one from the ministry as it relates to water infrastructure at Robert Street West. So some pretty substantial and good news stories that don't happen without a lot of work and time and energy and effort from staff and the team to make that happen. So kudos to the team. The second piece is just with respect to microtransit, the review of potential options as it relates to our transit services. That is expected to come back before both councils, both in Penetanguishene and Midland, this coming spring. Originally, we had pushed out that we were hoping to have something this month, but we're going through some additional due diligence, exploring the options, and we'll be back in front of council by spring with a recommendation. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, CEO Lees. I won't repeat the ones that my colleagues mentioned, but a few others. I did attend a webinar with the CEO regarding the mayor-CEO relationships hosted by AMO back in early December. Welcome a new business to the community, Cherokee Homes, early in December. Participated in the Legion's Christmas Vigil on Christmas Eve. The Legion does a spectacular job. If you went by the Cenotaph, you would have saw candles that are around the Cenotaph, and they do a phenomenal job, the Legion, so great job. Deputy Mayor and I attended a Rotary luncheon early this month, and good a little history and background about the community. A couple already mentioned this, but we did receive a sizable investment by the province for our water, and this is about bringing on our secondary water source. This has been a lot of work on behalf of staff to do that. I know the media sometimes ask the value of delegations. We have delegated this as well at AMO, and we were successful in $11.5 million to turn on our secondary water source, which we anticipate that coming live in 2027. I know there's been some comments in the community about the safety of that water. I'll be the first one to sit there and drink from it. Rest assured, the work's being done to make sure that that's great, and it's going to increase a capacity for 5,000 new homes, increase capacity by 3,300 cubic meters of water. This is a tremendous announcement. I haven't mentioned the curling club already, but hats off to the curling club volunteer body that made that happen. That's just a tremendous amount of work. I'm going to talk about Roma for a second, Council, if we can. So we did delegate to 3 ministries. We did delegate to the Solicitor General. regarding the Central North Correction Center OPP policing costs that's affected to the community. I'll say it was a positive delegation, Council. I want to thank staff for preparing us with the information to delegate on that matter. Rest assured, the Solicitor General knows that this is an important topic to this community. He assured us that they're going to continue doing the work that they need to do to bring this to a finality for us. So I feel like we're being heard, and I know that they know that this is an important topic for our community. We also delegated to the Ministry of Sport and Culture regarding the multi-use recreation center. We talked about the importance of that. Right now, the funding application is a 3-year window. It's an oversubscribed application already, and we're not ready. We're not ready to be there. I think last council meeting we talked about being grant ready. I think this was a really, really good delegation. I think we got a couple of really good nuggets back that's going to help us set us up for success. The deputy minister even said, you might want to think about this, you might want to think about that when it's time to go forward. So I think from our perspective, this was a really positive delegation. I think if we drew straws right now, we'd say that was probably the best delegation we did, but super positive, really engaging, and everyone really provided a lot of great feedback to our community. So this is looking very optimistic. We also delegated to the Ministry of Finance regarding payment in lieu of taxes. So this is the heads and beds for the public. We do not receive property taxes for places like Waypoint and Central North Correction Center. So I'll give an example. Madam Treasurer pulled a fake tax bill if we were to tax them if it was privately owned. So what you would pay if you own that property, and it's north of $1 million. We get about $100,000 for payment in lieu of taxes by the government, and the formula is based on amount of money prescribed by the government per person or per bed for that institution. Now, the last time that rate was increased was 39 years ago. So for 39 years, they've been paying $75 a bed for these institutions. We all know costs have gone up. And over the last 39 years, the costs have gone up. So we're just asking the government, can you just increase it, the amount that's gone up? If that were to keep pace of inflation for the last 39 years, that'd be about $200. So still a far cry from the actual property tax amount, but we need to continue our advocacy. That fell on deaf ears. We were challenged by the Ministry Council. They really said, well, we give you OCIF funding. We give you this, we give you that. I think that's a separate issue than payment in lieu of taxes. We did let them know this affects many communities, and we did tell them our next step is AMO. Other communities, and we're going to start looking at a stronger PR push for this. Council, we did bring that forward back in the fall about what is our next step in strategy. So we did mention that to them. So I think the next step is we've got to amp up the attention on that matter. So I just want to give you that quick little update about those delegations. Again, CLEs to you and the team, thanks for helping prep us with the information. I think we did a great job as a team, but I think a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. So thank you to the team that did that work. The last one I'm going to mention, Deputy Mayor and I attended a session at Roma this past weekend, and it was by LAS, a division of AMO, and it was regarding a joint municipal services corporation for water wastewater. Council, you'll recall, last year we brought forward, staff brought forward a recommendation that AMO is assessing opportunities that AMO might be exploring a joint municipal services corporation. So we attended, very well presented. I want everyone to know that this is like years away. They did say, like, if this is something that we can explore, they said probably be a minimum 2 years, but we're trying to understand what does governance look like, how we can establish. So there is a lot of positive work being done. They're hopeful that they're going to bring this working group back to LAS and the AMA board, probably in May or June, and they're looking for some council buy-in and support and who wants to buy in. My analogy, council, this would be kind of like our insurance pool we did with the county. It's kind of like that analogy that AMO is assessing. Again, we're still on the pilot stages. Our community has signed up to be a partner in this pilot and what the work's being done. I know Director Murray and CLE's done some work, so we don't have any answers, but there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes. So just a small update, and I appreciate that LAS put that on for us during Roma. So lots has occurred over the last month, and let's move on. Number 9 is proclamations. We have none this evening. We're going to move on to number 10 is our public meeting. So we have a public meeting tonight, Council, regarding 106 Robert Street West. This is a public meeting under the Planning Act to consider an application to amend the Town of Penetanguishene zoning bylaw 2022-17. To Council, the purpose of this public meeting is to provide an opportunity for the public to make comments. The purpose of this public meeting is not to engage in a debate regarding the merits of the application, nor is it intended to be a question and answer session. to the public. This is your opportunity to speak, and we encourage you to do so. If a person or a public body would otherwise have an ability to appeal the decision on this application in Ontario Land Tribunal, but the person or public body does not make an oral submission at a public meeting or make written submissions to the town of Penetanguishene before the bylaw is passed, the person or the public body is not entitled to an appeal the decision. The person or public body also may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before an Ontario Land Tribunal, unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. Oh, and I'm going to ask if you can kindly introduce the application. Can you confirm if notification was provided? And can you please note any correspondences received?
Thank you, Your Worship. This application is concerning 106 Robert Street West. The application is a zoning bylaw amendment to rezone the property from the neighborhood commercial zone to the residential 3 exception zone to allow for a 6-unit apartment building to be constructed on the property. There are exceptions requested, which include a reduction to the minimum lot frontage, the minimum lot area, the minimum front yard setback, the minimum interior and exterior side yards, as well as the minimum parking requirements. Notice was provided in accordance with the Planning Act and the town's policies. This includes notice to residents within 120 meters of the subject property, a sign posted on the property, as well as notice through the town's website. The town did receive comments, including a letter from a resident at 11 Center Street, a letter from Mr. and Mrs. Tessier, a letter from Mr. and Miss McDonald, a petition signed by multiple residents, and the agenda was just recently republished this morning with a new comment received yesterday from Miss Cadeau.
Thank you, Owen. Is the applicant or agent in attendance? And I'm going to ask if they wish to make a presentation or provide any additional information on this matter.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we do have a presentation prepared. Just going to go ahead and get that ready for you. Everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we can see and we hear you fine. The floor is yours.
Okay, so through you, Mr. Mayor, good evening, council, staff, and all members of the public in attendance. Welcome to tonight's public meeting and thank you for attending. My name is Adam Fiorini, a planner at Innovative Planning Solutions, and I am joined tonight by my colleague, Nick Scarat, a senior planner. IPS has been retained by the client, 06 Investments Incorporated, to submit this application for zoning bylaw amendment for the lands municipally known as 106 Robert Street West in the town of Penetanguishene. The purpose of this public meeting is to formally introduce the application and our intent of developing the subject lands for a 3-story residential building containing a total of 6 residential units. The subject property is a rectangular parcel of land and is municipally known as 106 Robert Street West and is located along the south side of Robert Street, east of Center Street, directly at the southeastern corner of the intersection. The property has a total lot area of 724.8 meters squared, which is approximately 0.07 hectares, and holds dual frontages, 25.9 meters along Robert Street West and 27.9 meters along Center Street. There currently exists a lone building on the subject lands, which is classified as a 2-story residential/commercial building with associated parking areas, all of which are proposed to be demolished through the process of this application. Access to the site is provided via both Robert Street and Center Street, with the Center Street access being contemplated as the only retained access point. This slide illustrates some of the surrounding uses adjacent to the subject property. To the north lies residential and open space uses, including an existing trail network. To the east and west hold residential uses with sporadic commercial uses within. And to the south is predominantly residential land comprised of single detached dwellings. I will now summarize the existing land use designation and zoning afforded to the subject lands with existing permissions. Firstly, the lands are designated neighborhood area within the town of Penetanguishene's official plan, which generally encompass a wide range of residential uses and would permit the proposed development in its entirety. No official plan amendment is required. Through the town of Penetanguishene's zoning bylaw, the lands are zoned NC, neighborhood commercial, which generally permits small-scale commercial uses and thus would not encompass the proposed development. However, it is important to note that the proposed development occurs along a major road in that of Robert Street West, and that it would ultimately be providing additional housing variety within the neighborhood. The contemplated housing variety is presented through the 6 apartment-style residential units within the 3-story building as currently proposed. Included within the development will be 7 parking spaces, including 1 Type A accessible parking space and a variety of landscape buffer areas. As mentioned previously, access to the site is contemplated via Center Street and will be the sole access. So as aforementioned, the neighborhood area designation broadly permits a range of residential uses, and that does include small-scale apartments through policy 4.2.1.3. And as such, the proposed development conforms to the official plan and no amendment would be required. However, through this application for zoning bylaw amendment, we are intending to rezone the lands from the neighborhood commercial NC zone to residential 3 with special provisions, which is supportive of the proposed apartment building. Also proposed are a variety of site-specific exceptions, which will be presented on the following slide. However, it is important to note that many of these exemptions are required to facilitate the proposed development. So as demonstrated by the development concept, the proposal has taken into account an efficient and compact design. The proposed change from a commercial zone to a residential zone to facilitate the 6-unit apartment building has a variety of site-specific exceptions required, and those mainly relate to front yard setback, interior and exterior side yard setback, and parking spaces. The requested provisions would allow for this functional design to operate while maintaining the general intent of the requested zone. They have been numbered on the diagram before you for ease of reference. The proposed residential zone contains less development impacts compared to the currently permitted commercial uses as it relates to parking, noise, and site congestion/traffic. In short, a commercial use on these lands would present a greater impact on the surrounding neighborhood than the proposed residential apartment building. Therefore, it is of our opinion that the lands represent an underutilized parcel of land, and through the proposed development, we'll see an optimization of both the land and the singular access point along Center Street. To summarize, the lands are within the existing settlement area of the town of Penetanguishene. The development meets the policies of growth along major roads. The development respects the existing low-rise character of the neighborhood while providing appropriate setbacks to surrounding uses. The development utilizes and promotes existing services and the surrounding uses, and it provides for a functional design contributing to residential housing market needs and town growth projections. Included with this application are also the following technical studies that have been submitted in support of the proposed development. These include an archaeological assessment report, stage 1 and 2, a D4 assessment, a parking justification study, a functional servicing brief, and a phase 1 environmental site assessment. We have reviewed the public comments received and we appreciate the feedback. We feel that the comments that have been considered through the contemplated design to offer housing type compatible with the policies of and neighborhood character by the official plan, and thereby offering growth opportunities for attainable housing variety. That concludes my presentation for this evening, and I would like to thank committee, staff, and all residents for attending. Nick and I will be available to answer any questions you may have regarding this application and the proposed development. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berney, for your presentation this evening. I'm going to ask if anyone in the public would like to make any comments regarding the application based on land use planning issues relevant to the application. If I'll have you make your way to the podium, I'll ask you to please state your name and address for the record. And just for the record, there is no 2-minute time limit, so the floor is yours. Name and address for the record, please.
Brendan McDonald, I live at 9 Center Street. The reason why I'm so opposed for this is there's too many changes to make. Like in a bylaw, it's very obvious that that building cannot fit on that lot. I think it's just so obvious. I can't even believe we're here talking about it. And it will block I suffer the most for this because it'll block 5 of my windows and my view out front. And my yard is going to be against a parking lot, and I'm not happy about that. So I'll fight this as much as I can. And I need to know what you're talking about tribunal, how that all works, because I'm not leaving this at this.
Thank you for your question and your comments. Earlier this evening when you spoke to us during the open forum, The tribunal part meant if you didn't speak right here, you wouldn't be able to appeal it. If you don't like the decision, you couldn't go to the land tribunal unless you made your comments at this part of the meeting. This is the public meeting for this matter. So that's why it was important you speak there. At the end, I'll ask our planner, Mr. Taylor, to address the Ontario Land Tribunal process, but that's putting many steps down the road. Yep. I'm going to ask if anyone else in the public wishes to address anything about this application. If you do, I'll have you make your way to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please. So if you want to address this matter, I need you to go to the podium, go to the mic and make your name and address for the record, please.
Brenda McDonald, 9 Center Street. We sent in 2 letters, neighbor and I, and there was another letter sent in from Carla Caddo. And one thing about if I can, about the building, they want to put a basement. Now, the house on the other side, when they built that house, the builder would not put a basement in that house because of the water issues in Penetang. So right there, I think that's a bad move. And of course, we know about the water because we live there. And there's something else I wanted to say. I can't think of it.
Thank you.
So I would like references after, like at any decisions. How will we be kept informed about all that?
Thank you. I'll just, for clarity, there is no decision this evening. This is a public meeting. This is an opportunity for the public to address this matter. Later in the evening, we're going to have an item where council is going to debate this, and the recommendation is that we ask staff to come back at a future meeting where you have an opportunity to come back and have discussion about this matter. I will also state, you mentioned about the letters. Mr. Taylor did mention that with the notice that we've already received, which forms part of the official record. When we're done the questions, I'll ask Mr. Taylor to identify the process just so you can understand and how the communication is done. Yeah, it's all part of the official record. Does anybody else wish to address this matter? If you do, I'll have you go to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please. And I'll state it one more time. If anyone in the audience wishes to make comments regarding the application based on land use planning issues relevant to the application, I'll have you make your way to the podium and please state your name and address for the record, please. Sarah, is anyone online that wishes to address this matter before the public meeting?
Thank you, Your Worship. We have no one online for this matter.
Thank you. Council, I'm going to ask if you have any questions or comments about the information that's been presented. Again, we're not debating this matter, just any clarifying questions or comments that you wish to make. Councillor Vedabunker.
Thank you, Your Worship. To our planner, with respect to the existing building that's on there, how does that compare with the setbacks that exist with that building compared to what is being proposed with this new building?
Mr. Taylor?
Through to Councillor Vadamancourt, I just need a moment to pull it up on screen, but I have the answer for you. Just a moment.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Taylor is looking at council. Does anybody else have any clarifying comments or questions about this matter? Okay, I'll go to you after the response, okay? Anyone else? Mr. Taylor, it's okay to come back. We can bring it forward in the report back to committee of the whole if you need more time.
I did find the answer. Thank you for your patience. At present, the minimum front yard is 7.5 meters. The interior side yard is 3.0 meters and the rear yard is 7.5 meters. So it'd be a reduction compared to the existing zoning that's on the property now.
Clarifying comment, Councilor Bunker?
No, thank you. Mr. Taylor, I had another comment. Just with respect to the parking, our zoning bylaw is a fairly new document, and we went through a fairly extensive review in terms of preparing that document. And obviously, the parking was a component of that new zoning bylaw. There's a fairly substantial reduction being proposed for this site. And when you include the parking spot for a disabled person, then it's the parking is even less one. How does that compare with other developments within the municipality in terms of provision of parking spaces? And we have other examples. I'm just curious.
Through to Councillor Vadebois-Cour. I'm not sure the answer to that question offhand, but perhaps that's something staff could highlight in the report back to Committee of the Whole, is making a comparison to some other properties in town and what's approved there.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. Council, if we can keep it to the information as presented tonight, later again, we have a matter we're going to ask staff to bring back through Committee of the Whole. That might be where we can bring those. Deputy Mayor.
I do have a lot, and I will wait till Committee of the Whole. The one thing I did have, Owen, was on the report on the layout, I did not see anything for snow storage, recycling bins, or garbage bins.
Thank you. Owen, if you have a comment, if not, we'll put it in the Committee of the Whole report. Do you have a comment? We'll leave it for Committee of the Whole, Owen. Thank you. Okay, Council, any other further comments? Okay. I'm going to ask Mr. Perini if you have any concluding comments about what you've heard this evening or anything else in your application you'd like to bring forward.
Nothing from me at this time, Nick. I want to throw it to you if you have any concluding comments as well.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for the time tonight. Yes, we'd be more than happy to provide staff with any additional information to help answer some of those questions for Council Committee of the Whole. And as part of the submission package, just going back to some of those other questions, there was a site plan or a survey provided within the submission that outlined the existing building's location with surveyed setbacks for your viewing pleasure once you review the proposal. And on the concept plan within the submission package, it does show a waste collection recycling structure in the southeast portion of the property. But more than happy to help answer any questions and provide additional information as part of the resubmission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure staff will reach out for any clarifying comments for the Committee of the Whole report. Before I conclude the public meeting, I did see another hand. Before I close the meeting, if anyone wants to make final comment, this is the time before I close the meeting. If you do, I'll have you make your way to the podium, say your name and address for the record, please.
Brenda McDonald, 9 Center Street. When you were asking about the parking, what I found out is for a building that size, it's supposed to be 11 parking spaces, and they're proposing 7. And Center Street will end up like a street in Penetang. I won't name it, with all the cars parked on the road. In the winter, our street is not plowed fully, so if there's cars parked on the road, it's going to be a nightmare. If there's ever an ambulance or anything that has to go by, they will never get by on Center Street. And when you're talking about the side, the garbage and all this, there's 6 bylaws that need to be changed total. And I have a paper at home, unfortunately, I forgot it. 6 bylaws is a lot for one building.
Thank you for your comments. I'm going to close the public meeting one moment. I'm going to ask Mr. Taylor, can you just address a couple questions that were raised tonight? So one, can you just help the public understand the process? There's no decision tonight. Can you just help understand the process, how the members of public can still communicate, and how they would be informed about the process, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. So this evening is the public meeting. That's where we receive comments from the public. After this, staff and the applicant will go back. We will address comments through a future report to Committee of the Whole. That will be a recommendation report, so it'll contain a staff recommendation concerning the application. That's where there will be more discussion from committee. After that, there would be a final decision that would be made by council. And if you provided comments this evening, then you'll be notified of the decision of council. If you provided comments via email, or if we have your email on file, then you'll also be notified when that recommendation report comes forward. So when council is going to discuss those comments that you made this evening, you'll be notified of that. So I know we received several comments in writing, but we would encourage you to provide your email. planning@penetanguishene.ca is the best email to contact. That way you'll get notified of the recommendation report. In any case, you will get the notice of decision either by email or in the mail. Once the final decision of council is made, there is an appeal period. The appeal period was recently changed by the provincial government in that members of the public are not permitted to appeal these types of applications. That's something that is out of the town's control. It's a provincial decision, so that is a change. So if you're looking to provide comment, then now is the time to do it. We do accept comments up until council makes their final decision. So please, if you do have comments, then let us know.
Oh, and thank you very much. Can you also give a little bit of an idea what this looks like from time? So this will come back, assuming council approves this tonight, to come back at a future committee of the whole. So the earliest would be February committee of the whole and then March council. Sometimes it takes more work for the applicant to do work, so it could be March and April, but can you just give an idea what people can expect from that? And again, there's still opportunity to contribute and provide feedback.
As the mayor described, the next time that this will be considered is through a committee of the whole report. Given committee and council only meet once per month, the earliest that can happen is the next meeting in February. That would be the quickest timeline. Oftentimes, the review can take longer than that. It's usually the quickest is a 4 to 6 month process in total. Now we're a couple months in, so you can expect a timeline of approximately 4 months. So there would be a committee of the whole meeting where comments and the recommendation report are considered in, say, February, and any recommendation from that meeting would be ratified at the following council meeting in March. So that's kind of the process.
Oh, and thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on, council. I'm going to conclude the public meeting. I'm going to thank everyone for your attendance in this public meeting tonight and your participation. Council will consider this application and the results of the public meeting at a future opportunity. And as our planner acknowledged, there's still lots of opportunity for engagement, and we welcome your feedback through the process. Council, we're going to move on to number 11, our delegations and presentations. We have 3 this evening. Council, if you can just remember, we're going to do a little photo and a little presentation. I'm going to ask the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Waters to join me for the first one, Georgian Bay Physician Recruitment. I'm going to ask Councillor Vadaboncourt and Councillor Marchand to join me for the second one, Community Reach. I'm going to ask Councillor Leroux and Councillor Rush to join me for the Curling Club, please. So we have a couple of check presentations to make for the community this evening. Again, council will meet up in the middle and get a photo. Just to highlight, there's a tremendous work being done by a lot of organizations in the community. 3 that we're going to recognize this evening: Georgian Bay Physician Recruitment. I think we all know the importance of solid primary care, and this group does phenomenal work. On behalf of our council and community, thank you so much for what you do. Community Reach, thank you for your presentation that you did in the fall. Again, tremendous work really making transportation, accessible transportation for our community and the astounding impact they're having in our community. So thank you so much for that. And Penetanguishene Curling Club for their work. We acknowledged them earlier tonight for their under 18 provincial championships. And I'm just going to put a little plug in here. When they did their presentation, they came and officially asked for a certain amount. And when they delegated, they said, we actually only need 50% of that now. So just a little hint for next year. But great job and thanks to everyone. So again, tremendous work done by our physician recruiters, physician leads, great work done for primary care and doing the work that they do in our community. Again, thank you so much for what you do and making your work so important and caring for the residents, not just in the town of Penetanguishene, but across North Simcoe. So thankful for the work that you do. On behalf of the town of Penetanguishene, we want to provide a $10,000 contribution for the work and the efforts that you do. So thank you so much. Jeff, any words? Any words?
Yes, thank you to council and to the community at large for their continued support of our program. As was stated earlier, it's an ongoing chore for all of us to make sure that the hospital is fully staffed and that residents have access to timely primary care. So, and thank you to Usman for supporting this program at the hospital as well.
Up to the front, we've got a photo. Oh, at the fancy sign. Yeah. Gotta go. So again, our next check presentation tonight is for Community Reach, Transportation Linking Communities. I'm going to ask Councillor Vedabunker, Councillor Marshall, if you can join us, please. So we asked Community Reach to delegate and provide some more information. And it was astounding, the reach that you have in our community and the number of people who rely on your service, and specifically for medical and accessibility reasons. And thank you so much for work that you do. On behalf of the town of Penetanguishene, we want to provide a $7,365 contribution for the work that you do. So thank you so much. Cindy, you want to say a couple words? Even
I know you have a long meeting. I just a heartfelt thank you to council for your support and allowing us to continue to support the residents of Penetanguishene. So thank you again.
And I'll ask Councillor Roux and Councillor DeRusha if you can join me for the Penetanguishene Curling Club. We heard tonight about the work that was done, and really this group of volunteers pulled this off literally in weeks for this tournament. It was phenomenally done, well attended, and a lot of buzz in the community, and a tremendous amount of volunteer work went in to make this happen. So hats off to you and Paul. Thank you so much for the work that your club does and the contributions to the community. So on behalf of council, we'd like to present you with a $1,500 contribution for your work. Thank you. Oh, you want to?
I would just like to thank the town of Penetanguishene for their support of this event. Not only the financial contribution, but they provided items for our welcome bags for the curlers. They donated Brian Orser Hall for our banquet. They provided some platforms that we were able to use in the lounge to accommodate, better accommodate spectators. And I would like to thank Mayor Rawson for attending and participating in the opening ceremonies. Councillor LaRue for attending our banquet on Saturday night, and Councillor Vadaboncourt for attending one of the draws on Friday evening. So just tremendous support from the town of Penetanguishene.
You are.
All right. Thank you again to those groups and everyone that does their work to make our community the best. Council can move on. Number 12 is the adoption minutes not already confirmed. Motion reads that the following minutes of council meetings be confirmed and adopted as circulated. Council, December the 10th, 2025. Special council for December the 10th, 2025. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Vadaboncourt. Comments and questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Council, before I read the consent agenda, does anybody wish to pull them for any further comment or questions? I'll just comment on the first one, 13A, the automated speed enforcement. I appreciate the update, Mr. Murray. Thank you for that. We know that there was legislative changes brought on by the Ontario government. We did have programming that we want to bring forward, so I appreciate this update and inform the community about the work that we're doing. I know there's a future committee of the whole report going to be coming to council for further considerations about traffic calming and work that we can do. But thank you for bringing this back for closing loop with our community. Council, any other comments on the consent agenda? Councillor Vadaboncourt.
Thank you, Your Worship. Perhaps you could just comment with respect to how much the town incurred in terms of leading up to that. I know that was a point of speculation in the community, and I think it's worth highlighting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vadebunker, for that. You're right. There was a lot of comments about the towns incurred a lot of costs with the automated speed enforcement. I'm going to ask Mr. Murray if you can address that question for us, please.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. With the passage of Bill 56, within it included indemnity provisions to municipalities for breaking contracts with automated speed enforcement vendors. So that allowed us to avoid any cost or preparatory costs that would have been brought forward by those providers through the ASE program. So we were able to avoid costs in that respect. As outlined in the memo, we did incur some cost in terms of legal review and some minor costs associated with our streetlight contractor.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Councillor Vadebunker, is that the information you're looking for?
Yeah, thank you. I think the figure was around $3,000, if I read correctly. Yeah, thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. Council, any other further comments or questions on the consent agenda items? Seeing none, the motion reads the following consent agenda items have been given due consideration be received for information. Again, there's two. One regarding the automated speed enforcement. Second is regarding the 2026 fees and charges bylaw. We'll look for a mover. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Marchand. Call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, we're going to move on to number 14's matters for consideration. We have a few this evening. The first one's regarding the background to the public meeting we just had regarding ZA 30-2025 regarding 106 Robert Street West. Motion reads that the background to the public meeting report PL 2026-03 for the zoning bylaw amendment application file number ZA 32025 concerning 106 Robert Street West be received. And that in matters identified in report PL 2026-03 and at the public meeting be addressed in a report to committee of the whole. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Waters, second by Councillor. Comments and questions? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple. I had asked you before on about the snow and snow storage is going to be an issue. By the time we put out 6 garbage bins, 6 green bins, 6 recycling bins, I don't think there's enough room on that. I have a little bit of a problem that we're not letting these people have any green space. There's no front yard, backyard, no grass, no place for a barbecue. I find the parking to be very, very lax, not nearly enough. If you have 6 units, you would obviously think you'd have 6 cars. Some may have 2 vehicles in their family. We've provided nothing for visitor parking anywhere on the property. And I think the lady that was here tonight expressed it well. We would really congest Center Street, and there's to me, in my mind, there's no real reason to do it. Why are we trying to crowd that property out? We're changing far too many give-me's, you know, let's shrink the front, let's shrink the side yard, let's shrink the parking. Well, why are we doing that? We would have done better to suggest back to them, in my mind, just do a decent fourplex, you know, they get to face the water, walk away with the appropriate amount of parking. We ask all the other places that come to us to provide snow storage, parking, garbage, recycling, and adequate parking. I don't think that it's appropriate for us to give it to these people.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Chair, I'm not looking for a response, but Deputy Mayor's comments will be included in the future committee of the whole report.
That's correct. I could provide some just points of clarification on those comments now, but reserve a full response for the report if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think committee of the whole report's good, Mr. Taylor. Thank you. Council, any further comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, we move on to the next item is 14B regarding snow removal level of service policy. Policy update. I'm going to read the motion and we'll look for comments and questions. That the updated snow removal level of service policy 001-2019 be approved in accordance with staff report RDS 2026-01. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Vadebunker, second by Councillor Marchand. We'll open up the comments and questions. Councillor Vadebunker.
Thank you, Your Worship. We discussed this report at our section meeting earlier this week, and it might be helpful, Your Worship, if the director provided a brief overview of the policy, just so that it's clear for everybody what it's intended, the changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murray?
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. So the policy revision being brought forward to council this evening is for our snow removal policy. So that is a separate policy from our winter maintenance policy, which is largely guided by the province's minimum maintenance standards. This policy being brought forward to council is a town-led policy. It's not regulatory in any way. It's simply a level of service policy that guides our operations. So the policy revision being brought forward to council this evening is to adjust our critical definition under our policy. Under the existing wording, we have a bank height of 45 centimeters, which prompts snow removal. The proposed revision that we're proposing to council tonight is to increase that to 60 centimeters or 2 feet. And to allow for a window to allow us to remove the snow, which is 3 days. We find that this revision provides us the flexibility that we need for our critical areas, being the areas that are highly trafficked and see the most snow removal on any given winter season. For example, a critical area within our snow removal policy would be the main street, Robert Street West, our main corridors. So we're bringing forward these revisions to council to better reflect our current practice and to allow a little bit more flexibility in terms of the window for snow removal to occur.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Thank you, Councillor Vadabunker. Council, any further comments and questions? Seeing none, we're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, we're going to move on to the next item, 14C, regarding the Environmental Assessment Act changes. The motion reads that the staff be directed to respond to the Environmental Registry of Ontario Post ERO 019-7891 with comments identified in the staff report ENG 2026-01. I'm going to look for movers. Moved by Councillor Leroux, seconded by Councillor Waters. Comments and questions, Council? Seeing none, we're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Moving on to 14D is regarding the false alarm bylaw update number 2. Motion reads that the proposed changes to the false alarm bylaw be implemented and the staff bring forward the false alarm bylaw for council approval. It's moved by Councillor Marchand, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Comments and questions? I'll just make one. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for bringing this forward. Council will recall last meeting, this was actually on our agenda for bylaw approval last time. We heard back from our business community that if there's a multi-unit facility and Unit A had a false alarm, Unit B had a false alarm, Unit C had a false alarm, they would all be looped together. So Unit C could have potentially gotten a fee imposed on them. So we had feedback from the business community. Thanks, Councillor Waters, for bringing that forward. And thank you, Madam Clerk, for working with the business community to do that. I think this bylaw update really helps the concerns that came forward. So thank you for bringing that forward. Council, further comments or questions? Madam Clerk, I got to move on this one. Yep. Okay. We're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Next item, Council, is 14E regarding 1145 Fuller Avenue, red line revisions to the draft plan of approval. The motion reads that the draft plan approval be granted for the revised draft plan subdivision, attachment number 4, and the draft plan conditions, attachment number 5, in accordance with the staff report, PL 2026-03. I'm going to look for a mover, please. Moved by Councillor DeRush, seconded by Councillor Vadabunker. Council, comments and questions? Councillor Vadabunker.
Just a question with respect to the developments that in the future that will be proposed for the blocks. Will they have to go through a separate approval process?
Mr. Taylor.
Through to Councillor Vadaboncourt. For the separate blocks, they will be subject to a subdivision agreement. And so this red line revision is helping the applicant get to the point where a municipality can enter into a subdivision agreement with the owners. So it'll be guided through that subdivision agreement process.
Council, any further comments and questions? Seeing none, we're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, we're going to move on. Number 15 is presentation consideration report from our committee of the whole for last month. Members of the public, we meet as council, then we move into committee of the whole. Committee of the whole report comes forward the following month for council to further review, debate, make amendments, or to adopt them as presented. We're going to read the committee of whole recommendations from December of 2025. I'm going to ask the chair to present the recommendations that were brought forward at the time. We're going to start with transportation environmental services section. I'm going to ask Councillor Vedabunker to guide us through that, please.
Thank you, Worship. I'll be speaking to the December 10th Transportation Environmental Services Section meeting. There were no new items considered by the section that evening. There were 3 referrals on the list: the septage disposal and treatment, level of service policy for pothole repairs, and traffic calming measures in lieu of speed enforcement cameras. And we heard a little bit about that earlier under the consent agenda, and a report will be coming forward on at least 2 of those items to the February Committee of the Whole meeting. So that concludes my report on the December 10th Transportation Environment section. So I would move that the recommendations under the December 10th Transportation Environmental Services section be approved as presented. And I believe the Deputy Mayor is going to second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vedabunker. We have a mover, we have a seconder. Anybody wish to pull for further comment or question? Seeing none, we're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Councillor Roux, if you can guide us to Recreation Community Services section, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. On December 10th, 25, Recreation Community Services dealt with 4 items under the consent agenda. One was the Bayside Summer Soiree post-event report. The second one was a memo from the curator at the museum regarding update on museum resurface capital project. Third one was Museum and Heritage Advisory Committee minutes. And the fourth one was a memo from the Director of Recreation Community Service, Recreation, Parks and Trails Strategy Update. There were 2 matters for consideration. One was the non-resident user fee study, and the second one was HUD age-friendly designation. Under referrals, there is only one. That's Truth and Reconciliation. So it is moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor LaRose that the recommendations contained within community of the whole report related to the Recreation and Community Service section be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Roux. Anybody wish to put anything further comment or question? Seeing none, we're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Councillor DeRush for Planning Development Services section, please.
Thank you very much. The Planning and Community Development Services section had 1 consent agenda item, and it was the zoning bylaw amendment application for 106 Robert Street West. 2 matters were brought forward for consideration. The first was an application to repeal the heritage designation bylaw for 21 Peel. It was recommended that the application be refused. The second matter was the development deposits policy, and it was recommended that the policy be approved. Only 1 item remains on the referrals to upcoming agendas, and that is 161 Church Street and the options for future use. As the chair of the Planning and Community Development Services section, I move the motion, seconded by Vice Chair Bill Waters, that the recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report related to the section be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor DeRush. Anybody wish to vote for further comment or question? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Councillor Marchand, Finance and Corporate Services section, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. For our section, we had 3 consent agenda items. We had the 2025 Scholarship Program report, the Charitable Gaming report, and the launch of the iCity Customer Portal report. We had 1 matter for consideration. It was the 2026 water and wastewater rate fees, and there was no referral items added or removed, and there are none at this time. As the chair of the committee and seconded by Councillor Waters, we recommend that the recommendations contained within Committee of the Whole reports related to Finance and Corporate Services be approved.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marchand. Does anybody wish to vote for the comment or question? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? And that is carried. Oh, yeah. I'm going to move on to 16, presentation consideration report for special committees. We have none. 17, motions of which notice has previously been given. We have none. 18, we have 1 notice of motion, a motion that I brought forward. I'm just going to give a little background, Council, and then just to tell us process. And thank you, Councillor Vaughn, because this happened last month. Notice of motion will be read tonight, and then Council will debate it next month. Council could decide to waive the rules tonight, but I'll see if someone moves that later. So let's notice a motion. Almost a year ago, I had some conversations with the OPP about the need for a new Southern Georgian Bay OPP detachment for the region. The lease is going to expire soon for the one on Highway 12, and they want to put one detachment and bring downtown Midland and the highway together in one location. We've had some discussions internally about what that looks like. I've reached out to the CEO, who in turn followed up with the capital branch from the OPP and Infrastructure Ontario. We had a meeting about 6 weeks ago to look at the viability of what this looks like, and the OPP provided their checklist of what needs to happen. I just want to preface here, there's a lot of steps that need to happen. The first step is the OPP does a risk assessment. And the risk assessment is, does it fit their model? Does the location ideal? You have to pass that. And they said it's about 6 weeks where their people would look at it and say, it's even a contender, non-contender. When I've had some conversations with the OPP, the land that I've suggested is Ojibwe Landing. I know we're in the middle of starting the master plan, but there's an opportunity there where we can provide a return on investment to the community, increase police presence, and there's a lot of positives to this, but we can't even look at the positives until we have the OPP assess what it looks like. The OPP did tell us, they said, while we're doing this risk assessment, if you have other property you'd like to pledge or put forward, we'll do that as well. So in conjunction with the CEO, I know we reached out to his staff, and they did evaluate other properties that's owned by the municipality. While the OPP is doing the assessment, is there a couple other properties we could include on this? So really this motion is just, can we work with the OPP, start this 6-week assessment, just see if there's an interest on their behalf, and let them do their security assessment, go, would it meet their needs or not? After that point, they do have a prescribed process, and there's many steps, and the CEO has identified there's some steps that we need to evaluate, and we'll come back at a future time. But we just want to explore and go, is there an opportunity here that we could explore? So that's just a little background. Again, we probably started this conversation last April, and this Infrastructure Ontario and OPP conversation happened about 6 weeks ago. Before we move forward, in conjunction with the CEO, you just want to get some clarity. Does council even want to go down this and see if there's an interest on council's behalf? So council, that's kind of the background to that item. Again, it's here for next month, unless you want to waive and go forward tonight. Comments or questions? Okay. Madam Clerk, do I need to read that motion tonight, or is it good just stay there till next time? Yeah, okay. We're going to move on to consideration of the bylaws. Does anybody wish to pull any of the bylaws for further comment before I read the bylaws? Okay, seeing none. For the public, last May 1st of 2025, the province bestowed strong mayor powers on the town of Penetanguishene, which provides the ability for the mayor to veto bylaws. Customarily, since May of last year, I've been reading a statement whether or not I intend or not to intend to veto any bylaws. As per the strong mayor legislation passed by the province of Ontario on May 1st, 2025, I, Mayor Doug Rawson, hereby decide to not exercise the power to veto the following bylaws passed at the Town of Penetanguishene Council meeting on January the 21st, 2026, in accordance with subsection 284, 11(4)(a)(1) of the Municipal Act. Okay, and the bylaws read, Council, the following bylaws being enacted as bylaws of the Town of Penetanguishene, that they be read a first time, deemed to be read a second, a third time, and carried. Hence, bylaw 2026-01, fees and charges for the Town of Penetanguishene. Bylaw 2026-02, a false alarm policy. Bylaw 2026-03, water and wastewater rates and fees for 2026. And that they be read a first time, deemed to read a second time, third time, and carried. I'm going to look for a mover. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Roux. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, we're going to call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. The Mayor and Deputy Mayor represent the community at Simcoe County. Every month, the Deputy Mayor reports back to the community about the work that's being done on your behalf at Simcoe County. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Last Tuesday, we had our first meeting since before Christmas, so it was nice to get back at it. Obviously, there wasn't a whole lot. Our main topic of discussion was about the new recycling program. Just so the residents know, the county is no longer responsible for the pickup of recycling at the road. The program is now being run wholly by the province of Ontario. So now at the road, you will see two separate trucks. Drives all of us crazy, I know, but you'll have to check when one comes, then when the other one comes. We've tried everything we could at the province. We've tried it down at AMO. A lot of the municipalities, obviously, in the province have tried the same thing to get them to change their mind, but they're not. So if you have any questions now about recycling, call Circular Materials at 1-877-667-2626. And hopefully it'll get better or get changed as time goes on. Other than that, Your Worship, it was a pretty quiet meeting.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Anybody have any comments or questions for the Deputy Mayor? There must be something out there. Not yet. Let's move on. Announcements and inquiries. Councillor Roux, Councillor Roux, Winter is coming up. You have to have something. All right, Councillor Marcia.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to. That's because Sherry didn't have a chance to prep them for tonight. No. But we all did get our buttons for Winterama, so make sure to get your buttons. They are out and available. Agenda to be out soon. Just a quick, want to just say a quick announcement and also maybe perhaps challenge our council to think about considering being part of the coldest night of the year, which takes place on February 28th, supporting the guest house shelter and also the United Way. So there's a 2K walk and a 5K walk, and just putting that out there. I had a chance to meet with United Way today, and I thought it was timely that I share it here at council as well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marcia. Any other announcements or inquiries? Councillor Vadabunker.
Thank you, Worship. It's not really an announcement. I wanted to emphasize or highlight the significance of that announcement that you attended last Friday in Orillia, the $11.5 million for the Robert Street West well rehabilitation. That is hugely significant for the municipality. It's been something that the municipality has been pursuing, I would say, in excess of 25 years and probably longer. So to actually see some money flow to that is really significant. And what that, when those wells come on stream, the benefits that will be brought to the municipality, and it's significant. And I know you were there in person and to be part of that announcement, and I just think it's great. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vadabunker. Any other announcements or inquiries, Council? Sealese, any announcements on behalf of staff?
Thank you, Your Worship. No announcements. Thank you.
Thank you. I have several tonight, Council, so I have to wait a couple of seconds to work through it. First one I'm going to start with is the town of Penetanguishene officially was recognized by the Ontario government as an age-friendly community. On January 18th, Deputy Mayor LaRose, CEO Jeff Lees, and Director of Recreation Community Services Sherry Desjardins, and I attended the Age-Friendly Communities Ontario recognition ceremony. Unfortunately, Minister Raymond Chow was not present. He was sick that evening, but on his behalf, we were recognized and presented a certificate. And again, this is really a recognition of the work that's done on behalf of everybody. Our volunteers, our working groups, our staff, our council, everybody plays a role in making our community accessible in the work that they do. And it was an honor to be honored and reflected by that recognition on behalf of the province. So again, this is a great accolade on behalf of our community. The ceremony really highlighted the accomplishments, not just us, but many municipalities across the province. Close to home, Mayor Evans did a presentation on behalf of the work that's being done in Tiny Township. I know, Councillor Drush, you played a key role in a lot of those elements that came forward, and you can be proud of the work. And Mayor Evans' comments about the work that's been done for a decade in Tiny, and it was great to be there on behalf of our community. Really, it's all about working to make our communities more accessible, inclusive, and responsive to the needs of the aging population. So thank you to everyone that did that. I think we're just starting, but I think we're doing some great work. We do have a certificate that was provided to the community, and maybe when we're done, Council, Madam Director, maybe we can go to Sarah's new backdrop there. We could do a photo with council and staff. And I think this is a great thing that we should celebrate together as a community. So great work. And Sherry, thank you to you and your team for the work that's done every day, really about making services accessible in the community. Council, my next one I want to make a mention of is we always hear negative stuff. There's always negative stuff in the community. I want to highlight our public works staff. I hear tremendous feedback about the work that's being done about our roads and our sidewalks and all the amenities that we use. Director Murray, I know you get emails and communications at time that aren't as polite. Sometimes are quite offside and ignorant. I think sometimes staff probably hear all the bad things that people may reference, but there's a lot of good. And I really want to celebrate the good things that happen. And I think that's important to hear. Council, if you don't mind, I just want to read you a little email I received from someone this week. And I think, again, we hear more of these than the negatives. And I think our community is doing a great job. And again, kudos to the staff that keep the streets and sidewalks and everything safe for everyone. And the email reads, "Good morning, gentlemen. I just want to take this opportunity to pass along my appreciation and thanks to the town and the employees tasked with keeping our streets and sidewalks clear during the winter season. I walk early every morning along Fox Street, Main Street, and through the residential area east of Fox Street. I'm always impressed that the roads and sidewalks are plowed and salted 99% of the time. That's excellent. Please pass along my appreciation to the hardworking employees who make this possible." Mr. Murray, I didn't forward that to you yet, but if you can share that with your staff, please. Again, I think this is one example, Council, and we do know that there may be areas of the community that we may have missed. We may have been a little bit of time, but the staff are working great. And I just want to highlight this one because this, I think, is our always event. I think we always see this, but when this comes across, I just want to celebrate that. Okay, Mr. Murray, please pass that on to your staff and let them know that we appreciate everything. I think the community appreciates everything. Madam Clerk, I have a question for you, if you don't mind. We know that this year is an election year, municipal election year, and I know you are tasked to coordinate and run the election. And I think it bestows upon all of us that we have the public engaged in that process. And I know people right now in the community are asking about it. And I've been asking them to go to the website or reach out to you, but could you just maybe inform the public what is it about, how they get information, if they want to run, just some of the rules, how do they learn more? I think just so that people know that there is a path and you're the expert in behalf of our community to guide them through that, if you don't mind.
Thank you for the opportunity, Your Worship. Indeed, 2026 is an election year, and it's very exciting. The town of Penetanguishene will be offering internet and telephone voting starting on Tuesday, October 13th, leading up until Election Day. On Election Day, voters will have the option of using a ballot. Every election needs candidates. And if you're thinking of running for council, visit the Town of Penetanguishene website, where you'll find a candidate portal with all the information needed to run for council. That will be updated as new information becomes available, so keep on that. Nominations will be opening Friday, May 1st at 8:30 a.m. and will be open until Friday, August 21st at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, the documentation and the qualifiers and positions, that's all available on the website, and they can find out how they navigate that on the website.
That's correct, Your Worship. There are the full complete candidate package on the candidate portal where interested candidates can go on, pull the information that's required in order to complete their nomination.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Council, I have two more questions, if you don't mind. Mr. Murray, I have two questions. I'll do both if I can. The first one's regarding water, wastewater. So we as a community have made an announcement that we're doing a review of our water, wastewater services. No decision has been made. But I do know that there's a lot of uncertainty and there's questions in the community. I'm hearing, rumors about what's true and not true. I'm wondering if you can provide a little bit of background, a little bit of an understanding. What are we doing? I do know we've got some communication out, but maybe everyone hasn't heard that. If you just don't mind letting the public know what is that about. And my second question for you, Mr. Murray, is regarding roads. Earlier tonight, you did talk about the service level. I do know, and I did comment a positive email, but we do get some people that aren't so kind. Can you just highlight like what is the service level mean? And if I live here, what can I expect? If I live there, what can I expect? Again, I think our crews are doing a phenomenal job. I say it everywhere I go. But I think from a service expectation, I think we need to let everyone know our team's doing the best they can, and I think it's tremendous. But I think just to set that level of service expectation, and my follow-up is, if someone's not happy, what's the mechanism to report that in? A lot there.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to you. I'll start with the first question, which is the water wastewater review that's currently underway. We did issue a public statement mid-December, just outlining to the public that we are undertaking a review of our water wastewater operations. No decisions have been made, as you indicated. We're currently in a phase that we're reviewing our options in terms of our water wastewater operations model. Right now, we're looking at a few options, which includes an amalgamation of water wastewater services internally or in-house. Another option that we're currently looking at is the outsourcing to a third party for the water wastewater operations. So at the current time, we're still in an operational review phase of those two options. Obviously, with any kind of review of this magnitude, it does take time to go over the options and making sure that we're doing our comparisons and review properly. So right now, I can say that we're in that process of reviewing our options. Once we have more information to share, we will be bringing forward a report to council, and which we're expecting sometime in the next few months. On the second part of that question, relating to roads operations in terms of winter maintenance. We do have a winter maintenance policy that we do adhere to, which follows closely the province's minimum maintenance standards. And what that means is that for different classifications of roads, so for example, major arteries within town, such as Main Street, Robert Street, Fuller Avenue, that are highly traveled, have higher volumes, are held to a higher standard in terms of snow clearing and plowing, sanding and salting under the minimum maintenance standards. So collectors, lower volume roads, for example, such as Edward Street, Harriet, Lucy, the lower volume roads are held to a lower standard of response time, just based on the traffic volumes that those roads get. And so that's the minimum maintenance standards basically adheres to those classifications of roads. So we do hold our standard for snow clearing up to and beyond the minimum maintenance standards on most occasions. They do have provisions within the minimum maintenance standards, for example. So if we do get a major winter storm, as we tend to get every once in a while in a winter season, that allows us a period of time to respond, and where we would issue a weather statement saying that we've been hit with a significant weather event and that it may take us longer to respond to certain areas of the municipality. So that's permitted under the minimum maintenance standards to do that. And so that is our winter maintenance policy, is basically closely adhered to that minimum maintenance standard. The snow removal policy, which was brought forward this evening, is a different level of service policy that relates to snow removal within our critical secondary and primary areas. Not every road is within our snow removal policy, but our major roads, so our downtown core area, a lot of the commercial areas and the outlying areas within and surrounding the main street are within that policy. And within that policy, it states how often and to what degree snow is removed from each of those road sections. And if there was a complaint or a question, inquiry that comes in from the public, We're trying to direct the public to our new portal for resident inquiries, which can be accessed through our website. And once that's received, it gets received by our computerized work order maintenance system, that it gets directed to the appropriate staff member, whether it be a snowplow complaint or a pothole complaint. Hopefully that hits on those areas there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murray. Council, I just want to make a comment regarding the water wastewater. I'm sure you've all had comments. We've all had comments. I wanted to ask that tonight because this has been an open, transparent conversation. This council provided direction to staff to make this review happen. This hasn't been staff going out and figuring this out. We are all aware. That was the ask of council to provide that data, and it's all about making the best informed decision for this community. So I just want to say that out public because we all know what we have asked staff to do. All right, council, any further announcements or inquiries? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our confirmation bylaw. It reads that the confirmation bylaw 2026-04 be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerks. Moved by Councillor Waters, second by Deputy Mayor. We'll call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn at 8:35. Moved by Councillor Waters and second by Councillor DeRush. All in favor? We're adjourned. We're going to take 10 minutes for a rest break, and then we'll be back for committee of the whole. Good evening, Council. We're going to call our Committee of the Whole meeting to order for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026 at 8:48 p.m. I'm going to look for approval of the agenda, that the Committee of the Whole agenda for January 21st, 2026 be approved as presented. Moved by Councilor Waters, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. Council, anybody have a declaration of opinion and interest tonight? Seeing none, move on. Number 4 is our delegations and presentations. We have one tonight, Council, regarding our Peel Street streetscape design. Owen, are you introducing this? Floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay. Purpose of this presentation is to present the proposed streetscape design for Peel Street. I'm going to start by going over some of the background information to introduce the project and the work plan that was followed. And I'm also going to provide an overview of the proposed design. This matter is coming up later in the agenda under the Planning and Community Development section. I'm happy to answer questions at the end of this presentation, and I would suggest if there are questions specific to the design, that it might be easier to answer those while we have the presentation up on screen to show the different aspects of the design. Happy to answer questions now or when it comes up through the report. The area subject to the streetscape design is between Robert Street East and Simcoe Street. It's highlighted right on screen if you're not familiar with it. Just to give you a sense of context, we're located in Town Hall, which is in purple on the screen there. So just a little bit down the road from where we are now. The one-way street is pretty unique. It has a mix of residential uses, commercial uses. It even has a church on the corner, an institutional building. It has angled parking on one side. It has a parking/loading area on the other. And it has sidewalks on both sides of the street. I wanted to also touch on what is streetscape design, just to help set the context. So by definition, the streetscape design is the design of the roadway formed by the location of physical features such as buildings, pedestrian, cycling, and vehicular facilities and landscaping. So we're talking about things like lighting, sidewalks, parking areas, landscaping. It does not include the underground infrastructure, so the water and sewer system. It does not include the design of the buildings along the street. Some background for why we're undertaking this project. So we know that there's some infrastructure updates required on Peel Street. So Peel Street from Robert Street East to Brock Street is a capital project for 2026-2027. So it is being reconstructed in the near future. It is part of the town's 20-year community-based strategic plan. So I'll read that. Strategic action is to continue to implement the main streets redevelopment plan and develop a streetscaping plan for the supporting streets, such as Peel Street, that address such requirements as lighting, walkability, benches, sidewalks, active transportation, and accessibility. We also heard from members of the public that Peel Street could use some modernization and some upgrades, so that's all part of why we're undertaking this project. I wanted to share with everyone the work plan that was followed during the project. The work plan is fundamental to understanding how design decisions were made and why the proposed design looks the way that it does. So phase 1 of the work plan focused primarily on exploring the existing conditions and really understanding how Peel Street works today. What are the strengths and weaknesses? How can we capitalize on the strengths and how can we improve the weaknesses? Phase 2 was intended to establish specific design priorities. This included hosting a public information center where we heard from members of the public in terms of how they experience the street and what they'd like to see there. From there, we were able to formulate a vision for Peel Street, specific goals and objectives that help guide design decisions as we go forward. Number 3 was actually drafting those different options, finding out what works and what doesn't work. From there, we refined the design and held another public information center to present that design. At that public information center, the design was well received from those who attended. There were some minor updates that have been made to reflect the comments that we received. The proposed design is on screen here, and it's a reflection of the work plan that I just outlined. The next slide here shows a section of Peel Street, which is what you may see if you're standing at Robert Street looking down the street. Next, I'm going to walk through some of the key changes that are proposed through the streetscape design. So what we're going to do is basically take a walk down Peel Street, starting at Robert Street. Each slide contains a photo of the existing conditions of Peel Street, so you can orient yourself in terms of what it looks like now, followed by a screenshot of the design. One of the first changes is a reduction to the crossing distance at Peel Street and Robert Street East. This introduces several benefits, such as increasing pedestrian accessibility and safety by reducing the crossing distance. It benefits the natural and built environment by creating more space for landscaping and other elements. It makes walking more appealing, and it slows traffic because it's a narrow area that you have to enter on that intersection. Another improvement is reducing the width of the driving aisle. So at present, Peel Street is oversized for a one-way street. This introduces a lot of pedestrian benefits that I just listed. Another improvement is introducing a sharrow. So a sharrow is shared lane markings, meaning that cyclists and vehicles can travel together in the same lane. It's not a standalone cycling lane, it's a shared lane. The reason for this came up through the first phase of the project, where we were looking at the existing conditions and context. The town cycling strategy calls for a number of improvements within this area. And so when we were looking at future cycling enhancements that were being made on Main Street and on Fox Street, it made sense to include this as part of the town's cycling network. And I'd be happy to go into more detail on why this is being proposed. I do have some additional slides on specifically what we found, but I'm going to leave it at that for now. Another improvement, as you can see on screen, there's some existing accessible spaces which are proposed to remain. However, they're going to be enhanced. At present, there's some stairs in front of the accessible parking spaces, and that's going to be changed to a ramp. The angled parking along Peel Street is proposed to remain. However, it's going to be increased in size. The current measurement of the angled parking is about 6 meters. The angle is going to be slightly increased to a 45-degree angle, which is similar to what we see on the angled parking on Main Street. However, the spaces are going to be substantially longer. Something we heard through the parking strategy last year in the community is that residents have concerns with maneuvering and the safety of spots on Main Street. And so we wanted to make sure that this area would serve as an alternative to those larger vehicles that may have trouble parking in that area. Presently, there's an informal loading / parking area along Peel Street, and this area is going to be formalized with proper line painting. Currently, there are waste receptacles, other infrastructure that encroach into the sidewalk because the sidewalk is right against the buildings. We're proposing to implement a buffer here. The buffer will be sufficiently sized to accommodate the county waste receptacles so they can be stored there out of the way. It also allows the businesses along Main Street to potentially use that space for sidewalk displays or other design elements that are authorized under the town's sidewalk use bylaw. A mid-block connection and a bump out is proposed in front of Marlin's Hamster, about halfway down Peel Street, connecting the existing pedestrian walkway that goes to Main Street. This would be a raised crossing and would have a roll depressed curb. That's something that we heard through the Public Information Center is number one, pedestrian accessibility for the area. And number two, there were specific concerns with respect to snow removal with having a full curb that's bumped out there. So a rolled curb would allow easier snow removal for a snowplow to actually drive over that area. A parkette space is proposed within the existing area, just adjacent to the walkway. Right now, this area is underutilized and could be improved through some small elements like landscaping, benches, a bicycle rack, perhaps. This area would be subject to future design, so it's not part of the streetscape design, but it could be something to be improved in the future. The rear yard access points along Peel Street are proposed to remain. We will be consulting with those property owners who reside on Peel Street to see if there's an interest in having some of that infrastructure on private property. So they will be consulted when that happens. And the last element that I wanted to highlight, similar to the intersection of Peel and Robert, the crossing distance at Simcoe and Peel will be reduced. This has been revised in response to some public comments that we had through the Public Information Center. We have increased the turning radius, so making it easier for those large vehicles to make that turn despite the reduced crossing distance. As I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, later in the agenda, there's a staff report brought forward to adopt the design. And if approved, staff would proceed with tendering in accordance with the town's procurement policy. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions either now or when the report comes up later in the agenda.
Thank you very much, Owen. Council, if you want to make edits or revisions, we're going to leave that for the planning and community service section. So 8F is when that is. But if there's any clarifying questions, we'll bring those up now. So clarifying questions or comments, if you want to edit the motion, we'll do that down in planning. Council, comments or questions? No. Thank you, Owen. Council, move on. Number 5 is the council information package. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the December 31st or January 14th CIP for further comment? Councillor Marshall.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to make a comment on an item from the June 14th information package, if I could. Okay, great. I just wanted to commend the town on receiving notice for accomplishing from the SSEA that we've reached milestone number 4 for our achievement in terms of sustainability. So just wanted to highlight that, and great work on behalf of, as a representative for the town on the SSEA, but great work by our committee and our staff. So thank you. Just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you, Councillor Marshall. Any other comments or questions? Anything outside one of the CIPs for anyone? Seeing none, motion reads that council information package having been given due consideration be received for information. Moved by Councillor Rush, second by Councillor Waters. Call for the vote. All in favor? And opposed? That is carried. I pass the chair to Councillor Vedabunker for 6, Section A, Transportation Environmental Services section.
Thank you, Your Worship. On your Transportation Environmental Services section agenda, there are no consent items. There are no matters for consideration. And we have 3 referrals: septage disposal and treatment resolution, level of service policy for timelines for pothole repairs and traffic calming measures. And that's options for traffic calming in lieu of speed cameras. My understanding is the level of service policy and the traffic calming measures will be brought forward for the February Committee of the Whole meeting. Does anybody have any referral items that they would like to add? Seeing none, I'll read the motion that the Transportation Environmental Services section endorse the following existing referrals to upcoming agendas and staff. May I have a mover, please? Mr. Deputy Mayor, and a seconder, Councillor Marshall. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Question period from the media and the public. No questions. I'm going to turn it back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vedabunker. 7, Section B, Recreation Community Services section. Councillor Roux, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Under the consent agenda, we have one that the following consent agenda items have been given due consideration be received for information, and that is trail bridge inspections. Does anyone have any concerns, comments? So I have a mover on that. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Marchand, all in favor? Thank you. Matters for consideration, we have the ice rates 26 to 29, that the proposed ice rates for the 26, 27, 28, and 29 ice seasons be approved in accordance with staff report RCS-2026-01, and that the rates be included in the next update of the town's fees and charges bylaw. Comments, concerns? The mover, Councillor DeRush, and seconded Deputy Mayor, all in favor? Thank you. And the other one is the BGC North Simcoe Day Camp Agreement. And the attachment BG North Simcoe Day Camp Agreement is that the draft agreement for the day camp operations between the town of Penetanguishene and BGC North Simcoe be approved as outlined in attachment 1, and that the Chief Administrative Officer and Director of Recreation Community Service are hereby authorized to make minor alterations to the agreement that does not substantially change its content, and further that the staff bring forward the necessary bylaw for council approval, and finally that staff be authorized to utilize any savings achieved in the day camp operating budget to offset expenses related directly to youth programming. Questions or concerns? There being none, mover, Councillor Vedabunker, and seconded Councillor Marchand, all in favor. And under the referrals to upcoming agenda, staff, the Recreation Community Service section endorsed the following additional and existing referrals to upcoming agenda and staff. One is the Truth and Reconciliation. Second is a Gateway to Rotary Champlain Wendat Park and Capital Plan for Development and PMCC, a map for capital infrastructure at PMCC. Does anyone wish to add or reduce or take away any further comments? Mover and a seconder, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Waters, all in favor? Thank you. And with that, question period from media and public. With none, so Your Worship, back to you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. 8, Section C, Planning and Community Development Services section. I turn the chair to Councillor DeRush.
Thank you very much. The Planning and Community Development Services has 5 consent agenda items this evening. And the first is a complete application public meeting, ZA4 2025- for 1500 Sandy Bay Road. Second is a planning community development fourth quarter summary. Third is a memo from the planner, the CIP annual update. The next one is a memo from SSCA on PCP milestone 4. And the fifth one is the County of Simcoe approval of official plan amendment number 1, 200 Main Street. Are there any items here that council wish to discuss? Seeing none, I'll read the motion that the consent agenda items that I've just noted, having been given due consideration, be received for information. Can I get a mover? Moved by Councillor LaRue, seconded by Councillor Vadamoker. Any comments, questions before we go to the vote? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Matters for consideration, we do have the one, and it is regarding Peel Street streetscape design, which we've just heard. I'll read the motion and then we'll have some discussion. That the Peel Street streetscape design attachment number 3 to report PL-2026-02 be approved as outlined in staff report PL-2026-02, and that staff proceed with tendering in accordance with the town's procurement policy. Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Waters, seconded by Councillor Marchand. Okay, questions regarding this item? Councillor Marchand.
First of all, thank you, Owen, for that presentation and the detail that you put in there. I appreciate that with the design, you had a picture of the current state of Peel Street. I had the opportunity to be at the Public Information Center. I believe it was the first one, and then also appreciated that this was brought to the Trails Committee as well. And so I feel that we've done a really great job, and we continue to seek engagement in the community through our committees and through ensuring that we have some general information sessions, which are great. I'm really excited about the design of Peel Street. I feel that everything that has been brought forward, that we've heard, just ensuring that there's calming measures, that we are being mindful about expanding space for the businesses, having proper lanes being identified. I do know that with the cycling strategy, this also came to Trails, and there was ways in which we were talking about how do we do those connectivities, ensuring that there is, just a beautification of that street. And I think there's a lot of really great things that are proposed in the design, and I'm excited about it. The bump outs to reduce the space in which the pedestrians cross. If you're a regular walker in our community, it is a really challenging intersection at the very top of Robert Street and Peel. People aren't always patient when they're turning, coming off of Robert, and just the speed bumps and just really taking all of the pieces into consideration. I think this really, for me, checked all the boxes in terms of all the feedback and what I hope to see, and just even down to the lighting and areas for individuals to perhaps, there may be benches future-wise. We talked about green space and shade and other pieces, and so I'm really excited about this. I will be supporting it, and I do appreciate the work, and all of the feedback that was given was truly, I feel, taken into consideration with this design. Thanks.
Thank you for those comments. Mayor Rawson.
Thank you. Oh, and I won't repeat everything Councillor Marchand said, but I think we did a great job doing public consultation. I appreciate the work that went into this. So I echo most of those comments. I have some questions. My first one is regarding, and I know you didn't call it bike lane, you called it some other word, I don't remember. And I'm looking for clarity. My understanding when the government canceled ASEs, it was a super bill, and I thought they had put something there saying no more bike lanes. So I'm looking for clarity on that. And then I have a bunch of others. Maybe we can work through them one at a time.
Thank you, Your Worship. With respect to the bike lanes, the province did pass legislation about bike lanes, and it applies only to prescribed municipalities. So Penetanguishene is not one of those municipalities, and it only applies where a driving lane is being taken out in favor of a bike lane. And so that's not what we're doing here. It's a sharrow was the word that you're looking for. So it's a shared lane. It's really just a pavement marking is essentially what it is, but it's to indicate that cyclists are welcome and be aware that there may be cyclists on the road.
Thank you for sharing that information with me. Like that? Well played. Owen, I was at the first pick and I heard comments from the business community about the garbage bins. Now you identified that tonight. The feedback I heard though was one, it's ugly, it's messy, and it's smelly. Now, I don't know if that's going to eliminate them all. The design tonight said there's going to be space to put them out. But what I heard from the community, that's not really going to solve the problems. I'm wondering what we considered and thought there. And I know things have changed now that recycling is no longer picked up for the businesses, which further adds complexity in that stretch because there's some residential and some business. I'm just wondering if more thought and consideration went into that and any other opportunities explored.
Staff did conduct a site visit with County of Simcoe Waste Collection Department to look at if there were any other solutions that we could come up with. And ultimately, as we know, except for recycling, the county has a duty to collect for garbage and compost, and they have their standard bins and they have their vehicle that comes down the laneway that has the arm and picks it up, and they need to be in a certain location in order for the vehicle to successfully come down the laneway and pick them up. And so from our perspective, it may be more of education to the property owners to, during the week, take the bins and store them inside, recognizing that a lot of those units are smaller and there may not be a lot of space. Knowing that it's very likely that the bins are going to probably remain out on the street, we should provide an area where they can be out of the way. What's not shown on this plan, but is in the notes kind of off to the side of the plan, it doesn't show the landscaping elements. And so through the detailed design process, there would be landscaping elements. It could be like a visual screen kind of at the top of Peel Street. So when you're looking down the street, at least you're not seeing the bins. So there are some ways that we tried to address that, but it was a difficult design decision to address.
Thanks, Owen. I know this one's difficult, but there was a lot of feedback about the garbage, and I just don't think we've solved that. Like, I think it's going to be a problem going forward. We just are allocating space. So I still think we got to look at the garbage bin. Another question I had, so I appreciate where the bump out is. There was feedback about kind of the loading and unloading area and truck accessibility. And I know when we looked at that about bump outs and access and trucks getting by, I'm just wondering, does this meet those needs from the business community about that accessibility component?
We did look at the turning radius when you're coming into those loading areas off of Robert Street, and the turning radius was improved based on that feedback. The town retained the services of Greenland Consulting Engineers, and so they through the modeling you can do and the system that they have to create the streetscape design, they can show those turning movements, and they ensured that snow plows and other large vehicles are going to be able to make those movements.
Two more if I can. One might be more for Brian. So we also heard from the business community, Brian, that, and I know at that time we didn't know what the design would look like with the sidewalk going down, but the business were saying it's hard, garbage bins and like, and then the way that we're plowing the snow against the buildings on the business side. I'm wondering if this plan resembles that and how we're able to help that situation as well.
Through to you, Your Worship. Yes, we did receive those comments stating in particular with the sidewalk plow. I believe it was the snow against between the sidewalk and the face of the building. There are limitations in terms of what we can do there. There's actually a few staircases actually within the buildings that actually encroach into the right of way. So we do have to accommodate that space between the sidewalk and the building. And there's also, I believe, several gas meters on the back of those buildings that we have to. So as much as we'll try to provide the space for the storage of snow and the clearing of the sidewalk, there are some obstructions that we do have to go around.
Thank you. One more, Madam Chair, if you don't mind. So when I'm thinking, I'm on Peel Street, I'm walking down, I'm by the church. And I know there was some comments during the pick about that, about the grade. And I know you mentioned in your presentation that the stairs wouldn't be by the accessible spots, but I'm wondering, I can't see in the illustrations, what's that grade going to be like from the sidewalk at the highest point to the road level? Because there's a lot of feedback about that and the aesthetics and the approach. I think, like, I don't know that, but I'd like to see that. And I'm going to bring in my second part of that question is the accessibility for the church. I heard people also talking about how is this going to help or hinder accessibility, parking, access to the church based on how we're going to do that grade on that sidewalk.
I don't believe the design shows the exact grade change and exactly what that is. It will be more significant than it is now because the road and the sidewalk will be closer to the same grade, whereas now you have the road, there's some elevation, and then the sidewalk. There is a ramp connecting the accessible parking spaces to the sidewalk and then again to the church property. So there will be a ramp throughout so you can maintain access to that, the barrier-free access. Traveling further down Peel Street, there will be some significant retaining walls required because of that grade change, because the sidewalk and the road are now on an equal plane, whereas before there's the sidewalk, then there's grass that goes up. Sorry, there's the road, then the grass that goes up, then the sidewalk. So there's gonna be retaining walls that need to support that change. So it's gonna look more flat. I may defer to Mr. Murray if he has anything to add on that.
Thanks, Owen. Just to clarify that, Your Worship, the retaining walls that we're going to be installing as part of the project will help to eliminate that. If you walk down Peel Street today, there's a significant boulevard grade change. There's a significant slope from the sidewalk to the parking surfaces. What we're proposing as part of the design is to level that, eliminate that slope so that people coming out of their cars from the angle parking spaces can walk right onto the sidewalk instead of through walking down the street to the staircase. We're actually going to be eliminating those staircases from the right of way entirely so that you can walk from the angle parking spaces onto the sidewalk. And in order to do that, as Owen had mentioned, is we're going to be installing a retaining wall that will allow us to make that grade change and make it flat or significantly milder.
Thank you. So maybe a two-part question. Brian, is this going to go, so the motion reads that this goes out for tender. Are we planning construction? I don't remember, in 26 or 27?
26.
Okay, so my question, when the ASEs were canceled, Premier Ford said that the government is going to make street calming funding opportunities. Now, we did receive a letter, and we already talked about 148,000. But he talked about roundabouts and traffic calming and bump outs. Have we explored, and will part of this be exploring more funding opportunities to improve the traffic calming on Peel Street? AK, are we going to go get more funds for this through Premier Ford's new, how do I say it? Fund that he said he's going to help support municipalities with?
Through you, Your Worship, we have been awarded the funding already through that Road Safety Initiatives Fund, is what it's called. So we are going to be presenting a report to council on that very topic in February. I don't believe that Peel Street will be included in that because of the fact that Peel Street's not designated as a community safety zone or a school zone. We'll have more information on that as part of that report. The elements of Owen's design do incorporate some of those road traffic calming measures. So that is a good question, but unfortunately, I believe that it's restricted to community safety zones, school zones.
Thank you very much for those questions. Councillor Roux and then Deputy Mayor LaRose.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment, first of all, is that excellent job done, Owen, and I give you kudos for a job well done. A project that I've been hoping to see for many years, and it's finally going to get underway, which I'm very pleased to see that's going to happen. Long overdue. The other part of it is Owen bringing back what the mayor spoke about, the garbage containers. In your report, it shows them against the building, and when we look at the trucks, the loading trucks are on the passenger side. So does that mean the trucks will have to come up Peel Street instead of going down?
They do that.
They do it today.
They do?
Thank you. Deputy Mayor LaRose and then Councillor Waters.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Owen, I wonder if you guys, I know you considered it at the bump out and you're going to put a rollover curb there. I wonder if you would consider putting a rollover curb at Robert Street as well. When you think of how the snow will pile up because of the bump out, people are going to be on their angled parking. They're going to look over their shoulder up the street to pull out, and they're going to see a snowbank. If we had a rollover curb there, Public Works could come around the corner in a more efficient manner anyway, but the snow would be further back to allow people to see, so we don't have the same problem that we do on Main Street parking.
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor LaRose. Yeah, that is a good suggestion that we could implement actually fairly easily through the design. So if I understand you correctly, Deputy Mayor, it would be the rollover curb at the bump out locations on Peel Street. Yeah, that is a good suggestion that we could implement.
Councillor Waters.
I was wondering, will the road continue at the same grade that it is now, or would there be adjustment made to correct some changes that were made the last time the road was done? And I'm referring to Mr. Murray's comments about the steps in the back of the buildings. The road, last time it was done, was lowered so that it was a nice straight line, which meant that some of the buildings had to put steps in order to get into the buildings. Some of the buildings even had car garages on the back so that you could actually drive out on the road, and now there's like a 2-foot drop. It would mean that the road would have to be level, sort of shaped, I don't know how you describe it, but I was just wondering, is that something that can be considered on the rebuild?
I can. Through you, Councillor Waters. So as part of the reconstruction design, we would still maintain the existing centerline elevation on Peel Street. So there was no modification or increase of the centerline elevation of the road. So it would maintain the existing centerline elevation.
You have a secondary question? An additional? No? Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Buttermilker.
Thank you. Just a comment and a question. Again, I want to thank Owen and staff for taking the comments into consideration and the changes that have been made to the design that was shown tonight. We did talk about it at Transportation and Environment section earlier this week, and operations were able to comment on the roadway and geometry and whatnot, so that, you know, confirm that plows can go down and maintenance can be done. My question has to do with the tender process, because my understanding, and Mr. Murray I think hinted this, but I just wanted to be clear. This section of Peel, it's a complete rebuild, is it not? It's water, sewer, storm sewer, the whole 9 yards. So when we talk about tendering, we're talking about tendering the whole project, not just the streetscaping component. That's correct? Thank you.
Okay, I think we've had lots of discussion. I think we're ready for the vote. We've got a mover and seconder, so we'll go to the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Referrals to upcoming agendas. So we have just the one item left on our list, and it is regarding options for your future use of 161 Church Street. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to add? Seeing none, the motion reads that the Planning and Community Development Services section endorse the one additional existing referral to upcoming agendas and staff. Can I get a mover, please, and a seconder? No. A move by Councillor Marchand, seconded by Councillor Waters. We'll go to the vote. All in favor? And opposed? The motion is carried. Any questions from the media? Seeing none, we'll pass it back to you, Mayor Ross.
Thank you, Councillor Drush. I did not have one. Thanks for asking if we had a. 9, Section D, Finance and Corporate Services section. I turn the chair to Councillor Marchand.
Thank you, Your Worship. So for the Finance and Corporate Services section, we have a number of consent agenda items. We have memo from the Director of Human Resources regarding the OMERS governance changes and Bill 68. We have a memo from the interim chief, fire chief. We also have a note with regard to the 2026 OPP billing statement and council and committee of the whole meeting calendar update with a minor adjustment. Before I read the motion, is anybody looking to pull or make any comments on the consent agenda items? I would like to make a comment about the first one, which is the memo that we received and the report from the Director of Human Resources, and looking to support that we look at providing a letter to provide commentary back and support the positioning with regards to some of the changes that are being proposed to the OMERS pension and Bill 68. I think it's really important that this is a pension that be protected and that we support that our that our town does support and endorse that this is a well-managed pension and it should remain in the hands of and being governed as it is. So I'm just going to make sure that we are supporting that there is a template letter that we do send on behalf of the town. Do you need anything more from me on that one? Okay, moved by Your Worship, second by Councillor Durush. All those in favor? Okay, that carries. Thank you. So I'll read the motion that the following consent agenda items, having been given due consideration, be received for information. Can I get a mover for all other items? Councillor Bedevancourt, seconded by Councillor Waters. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We have no matters for consideration this evening, and at this time, there are no referral items. Is anyone looking to add any future items? Seeing none. Oh, sorry, Your Worship, you have one that you'd like to put forward?
Thank you. I would like to move an opportunity for committee of the whole to have a discussion in the future regarding procedure bylaw update. I've talked to some members of council with some ideas, and I'd just like to have an opportunity for us to have a discussion about that and bring that forward.
Okay. And can I get a seconder? Second by Deputy LaRose. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, that carries. That item's been added. Any other? Okay, so that the following Finance and Corporate Services section endorse the following addition or existing referral to upcoming agenda and staff as noted, procedural bylaw update, right? Procedural update. Thank you. So that was already moved and seconded. Do I need to move it and second it again? Yes, okay, that whole section. Can I get a mover? Councillor Waters, seconded Councillor DeRush. All those in favor? That carries. Any questions from the media public? Seeing none, I turn it back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Marchand. And we're going to look for a motion to adjourn at 9:34. Moved by Councillor Waters, second by Councillor LaRose. All in favor? Sorry, Deputy LaRose. My apologies.